The Las Vegas Raiders have made a bold move, trading Ja'Cory Bennett to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for defensive tackle Thomas Booker. This trade has sparked quite a debate among fans, and it's easy to see why. On one side, you have Bennett, a promising young cornerback who was seen by many as one of the best players in the Raiders' secondary last season. On the other, Thomas Booker, a defensive tackle who brings a different kind of energy and skill set to the table. The question everyone is asking is, who really comes out ahead in this deal? To understand the reasoning behind this trade, you need to dive deeper into the details. Ja'Cory Bennett, who was drafted in the 4th round out of Maryland, came into the league under the previous regime, Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. Now, with a fresh coaching staff led by Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham, the team is charting a new course on defense, and Bennett's fit in this new system appears less certain. Although he showed flashes of talent and was arguably the best cornerback on the roster last season, Bennett was never more than a 4th option at cornerback behind players like Eric Stokes, Cameron Richardson, Darian Porter, and even J.T. Woods, a hybrid safety corner the Raiders added recently. Being 4th on the depth chart puts you in a precarious spot, especially when a team is looking to maximize every roster spot. Pete Carroll has a very specific vision for his defense. He values long, lanky, athletic cornerbacks who can cover a lot of ground and disrupt passes with their length and wingspan. While Bennett is athletic, his physical profile doesn't quite match that mold. Standing at 5'11", he's shorter than his primary competition, all of whom are 6'1" or taller with arms measuring over 32 inches. That difference might seem minor to casual observers, but in a defensive scheme that relies heavily on length and reach, those inches can translate into fewer completions allowed and more broken-up passes. The Raiders are not just building a defense. They're building a defense tailored to Pete Carroll's philosophy, which emphasizes those physical traits. Beyond the fit and the physical attributes, there are concerns about Bennett's durability. Injuries have plagued his career so far, with a torn labrum causing him to miss 10 games last season. The shoulder issues aren't minor either. His shoulder has a tendency to pop out, a condition that's notoriously difficult for cornerbacks who rely on upper body strength and physicality to stay in coverage and make tackles. This injury history raises a red flag for the Raiders, who are intent on playing a physical, hard-nosed brand of football that demands players be on the field consistently. Availability is often cited as a player's best ability, and the Raiders clearly have doubts about Bennett's capacity to stay healthy over the long haul. Another factor that likely influenced the decision is Bennett's physicality, or rather, the lack thereof. The Raiders' defense is evolving into a blend of Pete Carroll's and Patrick Graham's systems, each with their own demands on player size, strength, and aggressiveness. With this new hybrid scheme, the Raiders need players who can not only cover, but also deliver punishing hits and hold their ground against powerful offensive players. There's a feeling that Bennett, given his size and injury history, may not fit the physical style the team wants to embody, especially if there was consideration to try him inside the formation, where contact is more frequent and demanding. Compared to other players like Greedy Williams, who excel at physical play, Bennett might not have met the threshold. On the other side of the trade, the Raiders brought in Thomas Booker, a defensive tackle who may not have the same flashy name recognition as Bennett, but offers potential in the trenches, an area the Raiders are clearly prioritizing. Booker has the size, explosiveness, and athleticism that could help fill the void left by Christian Wilkins, a dominant presence on the defensive line who the Raiders have struggled to replace. Rather than banking on a single replacement, the Raiders seem to be spreading their bets by adding Booker alongside other defensive tackles like Keandre Coburn, building depth and versatility along the defensive front. One of the key triggers for this trade was news that Lucky Lou, another defensive tackle and part of the Raiders' depth chart, showed up to practice in a walking boot, raising serious doubts about his availability. With Wilkins also battling injuries, the Raiders found themselves thin on defensive tackles and needed reinforcements. Thomas Booker, though a bit smaller, is viewed as an explosive athlete with the potential to make an impact and stay healthier than Bennett has in recent years. This move highlights the importance the Raiders place on having a strong, healthy defensive line, often the backbone of a successful defense. The coaching staff also plays a crucial role in this equation. Rob Leonard, the Raiders' defensive line coach, is widely respected for his ability to develop players and maximize their potential. Booker's skill set, described as having a thick frame, good upper body power, and flashes of a quick first step, is the kind of profile Leonard thrives with. While Booker has shown inconsistency and has yet to fully realize his potential, pairing him with a coach like Leonard and integrating him into a defense that uses multiple fronts gives the Raiders a chance to unlock his upside. Watching game film and gathering intel from those familiar with Booker's play in Philadelphia, comparisons have been made to players like Adam Butler, a defensive tackle known for quickness, technique, and the ability to disrupt offensive lines despite not being the biggest guy on the field. This is a promising sign because Butler has been a valuable piece for teams with aggressive defensive schemes, and if Booker can reach that level, the Raiders will feel like they made a shrewd acquisition. The Raiders' connections to Philadelphia also seem to have influenced this trade. This is not a random deal pulled from thin air. The Raiders recently hired Anthony Patch, who is a key figure with the Eagles, working closely with their front office and draft personnel. Additionally, Brandon Hunt, now the Raiders' vice president of player personnel, also comes from the Eagles organization. These front office ties suggest that the Raiders have a strong understanding of Booker's potential and character, and that their scouting reports have been thorough. These relationships often make trades smoother and allow teams to identify players who might be undervalued or underutilized in their current environments. Finally, there is the intangible side of Booker's profile. He was a team captain at Stanford and a 3-year starter, indicating leadership qualities and a commitment to excellence, traits highly valued by Pete Carroll and the current Raiders regime. The team has shown a preference for players who not only bring talent, but also bring strong character and leadership to the locker room. Nearly all the Raiders' recent draft picks were team captains in college, reinforcing the culture they are building. Booker fits neatly into that mold, suggesting he will be a positive influence both on and off the field. This trade highlights a shift in how the Raiders are constructing their roster, prioritizing the trenches where games are often won and lost. While Ja'Cory Bennett may have more individual value as a player, his role and fit within the current defensive scheme limit his impact. Meanwhile, Thomas Booker addresses a pressing need in the interior defensive line, a position that could be a game-changer if staffed with the right personnel. The Raiders clearly believe that reinforcing the line of scrimmage is the smarter investment, and that Booker's addition will strengthen their defense in ways that will pay dividends throughout the season. If you buy into Pete Carroll's vision and trust the judgment of the coaching staff and front office, this trade makes a lot of sense. It is a strategic move that balances talent, health, fit, and future potential, showing the Raiders' commitment to building a competitive defense that can stand toe-to-toe with the best offenses in the league. The key now will be seeing how Booker performs in the system and whether he can seize the opportunity that comes with a fresh start in Las Vegas. There is no doubt that the Raiders are betting on a long-term vision, a blend of physicality, length, leadership, and coaching expertise, rather than short-term flashes of brilliance. The transition won't be without challenges, and fans will be watching closely as this new defensive lineup takes shape. But with players like Booker, a coaching staff led by Leonard and Graham, and front office ties ensuring smart personnel decisions, the Raiders are setting a foundation that could lead to sustained success in the coming years. Beyond the immediate personnel changes, this trade underscores a deeper philosophical transformation underway within the Raiders organization. The shift from the McDaniel-Ziegler era to the Carroll-Graham-Lennon regime is more than a change in uniforms or coaching styles. It represents a fundamental reimagining of how the team approaches every facet of building a competitive roster, particularly on defense. It's about crafting a culture defined by toughness, versatility, and strategic adaptability, rather than relying solely on raw talent or potential flashes of brilliance. This trade serves as a microcosm of that broader strategy. The Raiders' new regime understands that modern NFL defenses are no longer built simply by assembling the best athletes available. Instead, there's a growing recognition that successful defenses revolve around players who fit precise roles within a carefully calibrated scheme. Pete Carroll's pedigree with the Seattle Seahawks offers a template. Defenses that emphasize length, aggressiveness, physicality, and intelligence. These units often feature players who aren't just athletically gifted, but who embody a particular kind of toughness and resilience, thriving under pressure and excelling in their roles regardless of external distractions or adversity. In that sense, Ja'Cory Bennett, though talented, didn't quite align with this philosophy. His shorter stature and injury history raised doubts about his long-term fit in a scheme that demands consistency and durability from its cornerbacks. The Raiders' decision to part ways with him, even trading a player many regarded as their top cornerback last season, signals a willingness to prioritize system fit and durability over pure individual talent. This approach might be unpopular among some fans who value highlight reel plays, but it reflects a more pragmatic and sustainable way of building a team. Meanwhile, Thomas Booker's acquisition highlights the renewed emphasis on controlling the line of scrimmage, a fundamental principle of Pete Carroll's defensive philosophy. Defensive tackles are often the unsung heroes of any defense. Their role isn't glamorous. They don't often make flashy interceptions or jaw-dropping tackles in the open field. Instead, their job is to absorb blocks, collapse the pocket, and disrupt the opponent's rhythm. When executed properly, a strong interior defensive line sets the tone for the entire defense, freeing up linebackers and defensive backs to make plays. The Raiders clearly recognize this truth and have made Booker a priority to bolster that critical position. Booker's profile fits the mold Carroll and Graham seem to be targeting. While not the biggest defensive tackle by NFL standards, Booker brings a rare blend of explosiveness and technique, coupled with leadership experience as a collegiate captain. His Stanford background speaks to his football IQ and work ethic, two intangible traits that often separate good players from great ones. It's these intangibles, combined with the right coaching, that the Raiders hope will allow Booker to develop into a disruptive force. The front office's confidence in Booker, reinforced by the presence of trusted evaluators like Anthony Patch and Brandon Hunt with Philadelphia ties, suggests this is a calculated gamble rather than a shot in the dark. The Raiders' defensive line coach, Rob Leonard, has a reputation for maximizing players' strengths and unlocking potential, especially among defensive linemen who have yet to fully blossom. Leonard's coaching approach emphasizes technique, leverage, and quickness, areas where Booker shows promise but also needs refinement. With Leonard's guidance, Booker could grow into a pivotal piece, offering the Raiders a dependable interior pass rusher and run stopper. This is particularly important considering the injuries and uncertainties surrounding Christian Wilkins and Lucky Liu, which have left the Raiders vulnerable in the middle of their defense. Injuries are an unavoidable reality in the NFL, and managing them effectively is crucial for any team's success. The Raiders' decision to trade Bennett, who struggled with a recurring shoulder injury, reflects a broader commitment to roster resilience. By acquiring a healthier, more durable player in Booker, the Raiders are seeking to mitigate the risk of future injuries that can derail a season. This pragmatic approach acknowledges that even the most talented players are only valuable if they can consistently take the field and contribute. Another dimension to consider is the evolving role of the Raiders' defensive backs under Pete Carroll. Carroll's defenses often rely on a mix of physical cornerbacks and versatile safeties who can cover multiple positions and deliver tough hits. The fact that Bennett, despite his talent, was fourth on the depth chart indicates that the team has found other players who better fit their vision: taller, longer, and more physical athletes who can execute the demanding assignments Carroll's defense requires. The presence of hybrid safety cornerback J.T. Woods and other taller corners like Eric Stokes demonstrates the Raiders' preference for players who can not only defend, but also intimidate and physically challenge receivers. In a stunning twist that has sent ripples across the NFL landscape, a new rumor is rapidly gaining traction. The Las Vegas Raiders may be on the verge of acquiring Mexican offensive lineman Isaac ALARCÓN from the San Francisco 49ers. Though no official confirmation has surfaced, the whispers surrounding the potential signing have already begun to electrify fans and analysts alike. If true, this unexpected move could mark one of the most culturally significant moments in recent Raiders history. Sources close to both organizations have hinted that informal talks may have taken place, sparking a wave of speculation about what ALARCÓN's presence could mean for the franchise. Considering his heritage, work ethic, and growing popularity, ALARCÓN's addition could also signal a strategic shift by the Raiders, who may be looking to broaden their appeal to the massive Latin American fan base, particularly in Mexico. While nothing has been finalized, the timing of the rumor, just weeks before the start of the regular season, has raised eyebrows throughout the league. Could this be the beginning of a bold new chapter for the Silver and Black? Or is it just an intriguing possibility that will fizzle out? The answer, for now, remains tantalizingly unclear as the football world watches with bated breath. Fueling the speculation even further are recent cryptic social media posts by Isaac Alarcón himself. The 6'7" lineman, who has spent the last few seasons bouncing between the 49ers and Cowboys practice squads, posted an image of the Las Vegas skyline late last week with no accompanying caption. That simple image, now viewed by millions, has become the centerpiece of wild conjecture among NFL fans. Some believe it's nothing more than a vacation photo, while others are convinced it hints at a seismic career move. Given the Raiders' recent history of bold, headline-grabbing decisions, the possibility of Alarcón joining the squad doesn't seem entirely far-fetched. Analysts note that the Raiders are in desperate need of depth along the offensive line, and Alarcón's size, versatility, and international appeal could make him an ideal fit. Still, the 49ers have not commented publicly on any potential trade or release involving the Mexican standout, leaving the entire situation shrouded in mystery. Could the Raiders be orchestrating a surprise acquisition to inject fresh energy into their locker room? Or is Alarcón merely playing coy with his followers and enjoying the offseason spotlight? Either way, fans are glued to every development, dissecting each clue for signs of what's to come. Behind the scenes, NFL insiders suggest that this possible move may have been in the works longer than most fans realize. A handful of league executives have reportedly been aware of the Raiders' interest in Isaac Alarcón since early July. While Alarcón's time with the 49ers has been largely under the radar, coaches have praised his dedication and physicality, traits that align with the Raiders' gritty, no-nonsense style of play. It's also worth noting that Raiders owner Mark Davis has expressed public interest in expanding the team's brand internationally, particularly south of the border. Acquiring a player of Alarcón's background could serve both strategic and symbolic purposes. The move would not only bolster the team's O-line depth, but also potentially open new markets for merchandise, media rights, and fan engagement across Latin America. It's a savvy business maneuver cloaked in football practicality. However, skeptics argue that Alarcón has yet to prove himself at the highest level, having spent most of his NFL career on practice squads. Is he ready to take the next step under the bright lights of Las Vegas? Or are the Raiders simply gambling on potential rather than proven production? Adding to the intrigue is the recent reshuffling of the Raiders' offensive line roster during training camp. Observers have noted a flurry of uncharacteristic moves, including the sudden waiving of a veteran backup guard and the unusual promotion of a developmental player to the first-team reps. These changes, though not directly linked to Alarcón, have prompted renewed scrutiny of the team's intentions. Some insiders suggest that such moves may be clearing the way for an incoming player, someone with a unique skill set and international appeal. The timing is certainly convenient, if not downright suspicious. Fans and pundits have begun connecting dots that might not even exist, but in the world of professional sports, perception often becomes reality. Could the Raiders be laying the groundwork for a major unveiling? Perhaps even aiming to capitalize on the NFL's growing popularity in Mexico by introducing a new face of cultural connection? With preseason games fast approaching, any official announcement, or lack thereof, will speak volumes. Until then, speculation reigns supreme, and Isaac Alarcón's name remains one of the most talked about among Raider Nation and beyond. As the rumor mill continues to churn, one undeniable truth stands out. Isaac Alarcón's potential move to the Las Vegas Raiders has captured the imagination of fans across borders. The mere possibility of Mexican-born linemen joining one of the league's most iconic franchises is a narrative too compelling to ignore. Whether motivated by strategy, sentiment, or sheer spectacle, this rumor transaction is a reminder of the NFL's ever-evolving nature. If the Raiders truly do make this move, it would not just be about football, it would be about legacy, identity, and global reach. And if they don't, the attention alone might have been worth it, reigniting conversations around international players and their place in American football. Either way, Isaac ALARCÓN has already won something far more elusive than a roster spot: relevance. His name is being spoken in the same breath as headlines, debates, and dream scenarios. The football world is watching, waiting, and wondering. Is this just a clever PR stunt, a smokescreen, or the first whisper of a revolution? Only time will tell. Until then, the Raiders, the 49ers, and ALARCÓN himself remain at the heart of one of the offseason's most intriguing mysteries. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.